Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at this, the Gigabyte Aorus GeForce RTX 2080 Super. Now there are two versions of this card, one of which is known as the Windforce. That has a 240 AIO attached to it, so that should be a bit of a beast. And there's this one, the Windforce, which has three 100mm fans attached to it, which should give out quite a lot of cooling. Now I have said in previous videos, and I do say quite a lot actually, that I very much like Gigabyte hardware. For me, it's just synonymous with build quality and high performance, and I believe so across the trade as a whole as well, which is very good. So I'm expecting and hoping for very good things from this card. So I think what we'll do is have a quick look at what's in the box, whack it in the beast, and then we'll see what it can do. So here we are. We get the fairly standard stuff that you'd expect, a product that you paid all that money for, because this thing is around £800. And we get this, the obligatory envelope of many things. So we'll have a quick look and see what sort of shenanigans they're giving us. A frisbee, epic stuff, fantastic. What even is this for? Oh, it's the driver and utility. My word, if you're spending £800 on a graphics card, you've probably got decent enough internet. Some more things. A multilingual jobby, and you know how I feel about those. I love them. I love them. Learn all the languages. And a four-year warranty. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. Anywho, none of that nonsense. We want to take a look at this. This thing is thick. Absolutely, look at that. This is 3 slots thick. That's epic. That's epic. And the bulk of that is simply for this cooling solution. Like I mentioned earlier, these are the 3 100mm fans over the top of this massive heatsink. The pipes beneath are huge, and as far as I'm aware, they have direct contact with the GPU's IHS. But not only are they actively cooling the GPU, the cooling in this also takes place on the MOSFETs and the VRM. Because according to, well, Gigabyte's own website, this thing is for overclocking, which is fantastic, which takes us neatly onto this. This thing has 2 8-pin connectors. 2. Now bearing in mind the 2080 FE has an 8 and a 6, and that thing pulls some power, so this thing must, well, it must cost a fair few quid on the old electricity. But this thing is massive, and the backplate is quite nice. It's a matte black, although I am leaving greasy palm marks on it today. And we've got this, of course, the LED. It's remarkably bright. I'll show you it shortly. On the actual I/O, we've got all sorts, 7 actual outputs on this. We have 3 HDMIs and 3 display ports, plus a Type-C there as well. Now this thing is huge. It's absolutely massive. So I think the best thing to do at this point is see what it can actually do. So I'll whack this monster into the beast, and we'll run some benchmarks and see what it's capable of. So here we are, onto the mainstay, TimeSpy. I've only done the first and second graphics card test. There's no point in doing the CPU. On that, by the way, I am in fact using a 3950X, so pretty good. Sorry if the table looks very high, by the way, and I look remarkably small. It is risen up, and I don't know how to get it back down again. So that's what we're going with. Now, I'm not going to show the entirety of TimeSpy graphics test scores, obviously. I'll just jump between them. I'm just showing as an example. These are the tests I run. Now, this has been a long day, hence why I filmed this separately, and I'm just down in the bottom corner. I have run about 25 tests on each thing, possibly a bit more on Tomb Raider actually, just to make sure I got that fine balance. I did give the machine a bit of cooling time between. Now, where are we up to? Sorry, I'm just checking on where the video is as I'm recording this bit. It's a very pretty rundown, to be perfectly fair, is TimeSpy, especially when it goes through the museum, nice and quick down from the top. It's very good. Now in terms of the scores, as you can see, it did okay. Now I didn't put a great deal of emphasis to the temperatures there, but just to let you know, it did come out at around 70 degrees was the peak. So very good scores, and then we just moved on to Tomb Raider. That's now the new obligatory one, and I've said time and time again, I am aware that Tomb Raider isn't the finest of all benchmarks, but as a comparison against itself with other graphics cards, you do get a nice variation in score. Now it did come out rather well, and Tomb Raider, like I say, I had to run multiple times. It was a remarkably long day, hence filming this separately, but that's just the way that these things are. Now I should stress as well that all of these, the actual games, not TimeSpy, I don't get to set the settings, however, the games themselves, Formula 1 2019 and Tomb Raider at 3440 by 1440 at the highest setting, so I think F1 is at ultra high, where Tomb Raider is at high. And the scores did come out rather well. I was quite pleased. This is a very nice card, and the cooling, by the way, like I said, on TimeSpy hit 70, it didn't get above 65 on the little tests I did where I was also running other things in the background like core temps. Everything stayed relatively cool. The Windforce definitely works in that respect, so I'm very pleased with that. It's a good outcome. And the card is very nice, I must also stress that. It is, but in the next bit of this, we'll put a chart up now and let you see. Now just before we get on to the scores, I just want to point out, while I was letting the beast just idle to make sure there was nothing in the background running before running the benchmarks, I did notice there's a 0 RPM fan mode on the Aorus, which is very nice. The lights go out, it was bliss, but then I started to run the benchmarks and it went to a disco, as I'm sure maybe on the screen at some point in the video. However, let's just move on to the scores. So you may have noticed I've got the RTX 2080 Founders Edition out with me. I did run a small comparison, so I ran the same benchmarks on both cards just to get a good look. Now, TimeSpy, the first graphics test, came out at 72.46 and 69.12, which gives us about a 5% uplift on the 2080 Super. Now, the second graphics test was slightly better in terms of the Aorus 2080 Super, which came out at 67.30 against the 2080's 63.63, which is around a 6% uplift. Now, in terms of Tomb Raider, I had to run various tests with this. I ran about maybe 30 on each card, and that's not actually lying. I've spent a long time doing this because the frame rate was moving around a little bit, but I took an average. So the average FPS on the 2080 Super on the Tomb Raider benchmark was 88, and it was 83 on the 2080 Founders Edition, so that again is around a 6% uplift. Now, it was much closer on the F1 2019, which is optimized for frame rate anyway. This came out at 105, this 101, so again, a 4% uplift. Now, I would urge you to remember that the Founders Edition cards, the GPUs in these are very well binned by Nvidia. They don't sell the run-of-the-mill stuff when they do their own. Now, I hope you did like this review. It's a very nice card, and I must thank my friend Tom for letting me loan it. So, cheers for that, my good friend. It's very difficult to get hold of hardware in the present climate, shall we call it. But thank you very much for watching. If you did like the content, do like and subscribe. Have a nice evening. Goodbye.